Hello and welcome to another episode of the Best You interview series. It's Gary here again. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to join me for this episode. And today I'm joined by business, mindset and relationships expert and speaker, Meir Ezra, who is here to impart his wisdom, guidance and advice on dealing with toxic people, which is something that all of us have had to do at some point in our lives. I am certain of that. Gal always had the purpose to help, and that purpose was clear. It was never to be a firefighter or an astronaut, as is a want of many young boys. It was always to work with his dad and do what his dad does. And I really, really resonate with that. And I'll tell you why in a wee bit here. Having grown up with Meir Ezra as his father and mentor, Gal attributes much of his business and life success to his dad, and is the reason that he strongly knows the value of correct knowledge, precise coaching, and expert mentorship. By the age of 25, Gal had established his first $1 million company. In 2013, Gal co-founded one of South Africa's most well-known events and festival businesses, seeing 40,000 plus people annually. In 2018, Gal co-founded and is the CEO of Empower Funding, a property finance company that Gal started and grew with zero experience. Gal has various investments in properties and hotels, and now, with his business success complete, is dedicating his life to fulfilling his true purpose, which is helping others achieve their success while working closely with his father. I'll tell you why that resonates with me. I never had the opportunity to work with my dad at all, but certainly as what would I say, almost teenager for the remainder of my dad's life. He was my hero. He was my best friend. He was my mentor. He was everything to me. And our career paths certainly absolutely did not mirror each other at all. He was just a great guy, and a guy who, anytime I had an opportunity to hang out with, spend some time with, and just chat with, I did it every single day. So this really, really resonates with me. Unfortunately, my dad passed a couple of years ago. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about him and miss him dearly, because I talk to him every single day, even though he was back home in Scotland. So I'm really looking forward to hearing and feeling the influence of Meir through the conversations that we have today. Gal, thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on. And I can only imagine the connection that you had with your father. I'm sure it was similar to how I feel about mine. And so I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sure
Thank
it's
you.
it's a missing piece in the puzzle because you guys were so close.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that what you're doing, he'd be very proud of, because you seem, from the couple talks we've had, like such a great guy. So I am
Oh, thank
honored to
you.
be speaking with you today.
I'm very, very fortunate. Thank you for saying that. I'm very fortunate that my dad did get to see the beginning part of this journey, and most of the time he would be kind of, what's that? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
why are you doing that? And what do you hope to get from that? But the more that we talked, he just absorbed everything well. And even if he was, I was going to say critical, I don't mean that. His first stance was always quizzical, where he would be saying, I don't get that. What's the point of that? And then I would tell him the point, and then he would just be enthusiastic about that, just basically anything for his son, anything for his family. He was the same with all of my siblings. And it was a wonderful time. And I look back on those every interaction just with absolute joy and blessings in my heart that I had the opportunity to have that type and style of relationship with him. I have to
So,
say,
do you have
now,
kids, by?
I do. Yes, I have one. I have a son, Leo.
Oh, amazing. So you must pass those qualities that you so connected to and loved on. So
I'm
he's gone
hoping.
through you, I'm sure.
I'm hoping. Right now he's 15, so right now I'm just a nuisance to him. Where you just don't get it, Dad. You don't understand all those sorts of things, and I'm saying, yeah, maybe I don't, but there's a lot of things I do understand. So let's maybe concentrate on them for now. But he's a great guy. He is genuinely the love of my life, and I have that absolute bond with him. Again, he might not feel the same for right now, but hopefully that all equals itself out in adulthood. And one of the things that kind of resonates in terms of obviously the conversation and the relationship with your dad is toxic people. And the reason I say that is that not most time, a lot of the times when I was chatting with my dad, there would be some level of toxicity within it, not between us in our relationship or any type of conflict sort of thing, but there was always just something going on. Mostly, we were bonded by a love of sport and the similar sports and stuff. So within sports, there's a hero and a villain, and or maybe multiple of both, and there would be that level of you know complete unrational behavior or unrational thoughts that we would have that would turn into toxic thoughts and feelings against a particular person or a referee or an opponent, sometimes the people in our own team. And then the older I got, the more I thought, right, one, I'm not enjoying this type of conversation. I don't really feel like that about that person. It's just a
Yeah.
sport. It's just a bit of almost like a fantasy. And then the more I tried to reason and rationale with him, he would be so steadfast in his approach. He's like, "No, I'm telling you, this guy's a clown. This guy's an idiot." So we started to kind of diverge a wee bit in terms of this person's a human being. He's doing what he thinks is right. It doesn't bode well for our team. So there was always that element in there where I could often see the differences and discrepancies between how we thought together. So I'd like to just kind of start with your journey thus far, specifically what sparked your passion, one to work with your dad, and then to continue to build your business and your life with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, 100%. So it's very interesting because from the age of 2 years old, as you kind of said in the intro, I always said I want to work with my dad. Okay. Now, I didn't really know exactly what that meant, but it never changed. Okay.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 8, 10, I want to work with my dad. I want to work with my dad. And at
Yeah.
the beginning, I just saw he would go and he'd do meetings and he was doing business. And as a kid, 2 years old, I'm seeing him go to meetings and meeting with people and in an office and doing things. And I was like, I want to do that, right? As time went, I realized that he's an entrepreneur and he's building businesses, and I want to build businesses also. I want to, be my own boss and lead and impact in the direction that I think things should go and help a lot of people, mainly because ultimately that's the biggest reward. And it started to formulate in that way. Now, I also very much admired him and admire him today because he is truly an amazing dad. So, a very powerful guy,
Yeah.
but extremely loving. I think that's a big thing that anybody can take away, especially us dads, can take
Yeah.
away this thing of he would pour on genuine love, and also very much a lead. And the other big thing, and without getting too much into a parenting discussion, because by the way, he runs a whole parent academy. That's
Oh
been delivered
wow.
to over 1 million people. Yeah, you can go to our website, gprosperity.com/family. There's free courses on parenting, an amazing quick course called 7 Common Parenting Mistakes. It's been delivered to over 1 million people. Me, my brother, my sister, we never went through the rebellious teenage years. That it never happened with us. We
Yeah.
just were always close, always loving with our parents. That's just how it was. So, without getting too much into parenting, one thing that he did, as I said, very loving, very good leader, but also when he was with us, it was 150% with us. And
Right.
when he was away doing whatever work he was doing, because he would travel a lot, he didn't show up to 19 out of 20 of my soccer games or my sports games. He wasn't there. And I didn't mind at all. It was never a problem for me because he would explain, I'm going to work, I'm going to support you. Your role is to go to school, Gal. Your role is to, do well and make friends. And right now you're growing and blah, blah, blah. Mom's role right now is, and not that this has to be the roles for everyone, but mom's role is taking care of you, taking care of the house. And she's helping and she helps me. And I'm going and I'm providing and I'm working and I'm doing meetings. And so when I'm away, that's what I'm doing. And it was totally okay with me. But when I'm with you, and when he was with me, it was 150% with me, even if it was for 10 minutes. And most people don't even get 150% of their parents, even if they're with them for 10 hours.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the time, it was about that quality, right? And so that was really interesting. And long story short, I always looked up to him. And as time went, I actually started my own businesses, not really connected to him. I did events and festivals. And then as things looped around, it was like, okay, I was always helping him in the background, but okay, now I want to dig in. Let's work together now. And that's what we've been doing for the last many years.
Incredible, incredible.
Yeah.
So we're taking all this joy and all this loving spirit here, and then we're going to talk about toxic people. And
Yeah, all
it
good.
was one of
Yeah.
it was
No
one of,
problem.
but then do you know what? Probably your dad's ability to deal with toxic people and give them their place, keep them where they are, and not have it impact or affect his relationships at home is probably a deep rooted inspiration for this conversation. But when we were chatting prior to recording, we were just talking through the various nuances, kind of almost scientific nuances of what makes a person toxic. So, what are the key signs behind what makes a person toxic?
So there's actually 12 characteristics that toxic people have. And we're not going to get into all 12 at the moment. I'll give you a few because just in the interest of time and we want to talk about different things. But even before I give you those few, I want to give an overarching caveat or principle here. And that is this. Yes, people are toxic, and there are certain characteristics of people that are toxic. And by the way, there's been some studies that found that really only 2.5% of any group or the population is actually toxic. 2.5%, it's not that many, okay?
Yeah,
Most people think that 35% of their people in their life are toxic. It's not. If that's the case, then I'm sorry to tell you, maybe it's you a little bit that you don't know how to differentiate. And not that you're a problem, and I'm not saying you, Gary, but
yeah,
whoever it might be. It's not that you're a problem, but you maybe don't really know how to differentiate the toxic versus people that maybe are human beings that do things that are just like me and you do, that
yeah,
unfortunately sometimes have repercussions. So on
yeah,
the one hand, yes, there's a segment. On the other hand, the overarching caveat is this: the more powerful you become as an individual, the more you demonstrate your abilities, and you are first of all, you're a spiritual being that's operating on planet earth right now. The more you realize what you are and you actually demonstrate your abilities, it doesn't matter if somebody is toxic, schmuxic, whatever. It won't affect you because you're powerful. Imagine a imagine if we take it to the extreme, God. Okay,
yeah.
God, in whatever connotation that means for whatever religion. I'm not getting religious about it, but this concept of God, do you think that God is affected by toxic people?
Most likely not.
Not, because he's so powerful, in fact, so loving. And so the truth is that you are, and again, I'm not religious, but I do find it to be true that you are created in the image of God. And what that means to me is that you're a spiritual being with a lot of God-like powers. And so the more you are powerful, a toxic person can come in your vicinity and you'll eat them for breakfast, or you'll handle whatever they're throwing your way, and it really won't affect you. As time goes and you lose your abilities and you become weaker and you get pushed down by this crazy planet, um, yes, you become vulnerable. And then a toxic person can affect you. But you've had to go a long way down to become affected. You're a powerful person. How can a toxic person affect you? That's the overarching thing to know.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
something to think of. We need to improve your abilities so that nothing can affect you. That's a side note. But yes, we can talk about toxic people as well now in detail if
So,
you want.
so in terms of the 12, and that's, I mean, it's such a good foundational principle to essentially say it's more about you than it is about anyone else. You know, you can control only yourself, and if you are in complete control of yourself, then your ability to act and react to certain circumstances is yours and yours alone, and you will do it with purpose and intention, and you know, to get the outcomes that you're hoping to
Yeah.
get. In terms of the 12 nuances of toxic people, Gal, what is that? Is it a hierarchy of? I know you said we're not going to get into all 12, which is great, but does
No,
one feed off the other, off the other?
no, just different. They're not, it's not a hierarchy, but there's just different qualities that the majority will indicate that, okay, this person is toxic, be aware.
Right.
And by the way, what your options are when you encounter a toxic person, we can discuss as well. But I'll give you one of the characteristics, okay? This is a big one that you'll find, and it's that toxic people speak in generalities, okay?
Okay.
They aren't specific. So they will say, "Oh, God, everybody knows that you always do blah, blah, blah." Always this every general. There's not, if you ask them, one of the best things you can do if somebody says everybody always says, one of the best things you can do is say, really, who said it? And who
Yeah.
else? Oh, and that person, and who else? And who else? And it's four people. Okay. Is that everybody says or just these four people? Just these four people said. Okay, and they said that I always do this, or is it, or what did they say exactly? What did they say? Oh, that's what, okay, can I call them and check that that's what they said? And they'll say, yes, you can, or they'll say, no, no, don't call us. Okay, so what did they say? Did I say I always? And you'll see that whenever there's generalities thrown around, it's never true. It's really 99.9% blown up. It's not 99, it's not always, or everybody said, or you always do that, or no. Get specific and we'll really handle that thing.
Yeah. I love that. I use a version of that in the classroom to explain almost essentially what you're saying. And that if someone says, you know what, you're such a loser, everyone hates you, and my answer would be, wait a minute, you've spoken to everyone in the world, and each one of them said that they hate me. Well, you know what I mean. Actually, I don't. Actually, I
Yeah,
don't. Tell me
yeah,
exactly what it is, and then you're just saying, I'm going to give you the opportunity to explain this properly to me. And if you can, then we're having a conversation. If you can't, let's just see where we take it from there. Then.
yeah, exactly. 100%. And you'll see that the general the general rule about generalities is that you shouldn't deal with generalities when you're just operating in life in general. Forget it, business. Oh yes, it's taken care of. Let me go look at the specifics of what was taken care of.
Mhm.
Don't deal with generalities. Oh, a lot of the customers were unhappy. Maybe an employee report. So a lot of the customers were unhappy. Okay, who, what? Get specific. Generalities will always confuse you. It will throw you off because you don't have something stable. When
Yeah.
you have one of the important lessons to know is that the definition of confusion is a lack of a stable point. There's a random movement of things around you, or things. We can call it a random movement of things around you with nothing stable.
Yeah.
That's a confusion. And the minute you have one thing stable, the confusion immediately calms down. So you can think phone call and somebody wants to talk to you and there's four other people on the line. I think like of a secretary. She has three phone calls coming in. Somebody here at the front desk wants to talk to her. The boss is yelling in her ear and she's going, whoa, whoa, everybody wants something at once. It's a confusion, a random three phone calls, people coming in, needs to buzz this guy open. Whoa, whoa, whoa. One thing. Okay, client. What the phones are ringing, I know. Now, woo, the confusion reduces.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take one call. Sorry, sir, you're going to have to wait. One call. And you do one at a time, and confusion will subside. It's a good tool in general for anybody who's like overwhelmed. Just one thing at a time. Generalities create confusion instantly because everything goes up in the air because everyone said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's terrific. How would you? So you don't, we know about generalities and what they can cause, obviously confusion being one of the key things. How is there a test where you could say, I want to double check. There's some people in my life who I don't have the complete warm and fuzzy feelings about, but I don't know that they're toxic. It might just be a mismatch. There might be some rub that's coming up that just isn't working for me. How do I tell if they are toxic? Are there other telltale signs to the common person that they could almost do a litmus test, if you like, to say, how many toxic people do I have in my life? Or like you alluded to earlier, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the person that's doing that.
Right. So the number one thing to check is against these 12 traits. It's really the best way. You need to learn these things. We actually, if anybody wants, I can speak with them more. If they're interested, they can just speak to me, reach out to me, and I'll help them to get some material that will they can learn it, and I'll give it to them for free just to learn about these 12 characteristics because you need to learn it. You need to learn them. And the crazy thing is, and we'll talk about one or two more. But the interesting thing is that if you notice it in yourself and you go, I speak in generalities, then you know what? You're not, that's a one for sure thing that you are not a toxic person. If you can notice it in yourself, you'll see a lot of these characteristics. You go, oh, I do that sometimes. If you go, oh, I do that sometimes, the good news is you're not the guy. You're not the toxic person.
Yeah.
Because the toxic people cannot notice that. So you need to learn these 12 characteristics so you can spot them in others. And generally speaking, people need to, as I said at the beginning, improve their personal powers. Their personal, everybody has an amazing power and amazing abilities. And one of the powers that you've lost, and again, I'm not saying you as Gary, but one of
Yeah.
the powers that you've lost is the ability to observe. People really, but really don't observe. They've lost the ability to see the most obvious thing in front of their eyes. It's clear that this guy is bad news, and you don't see it. It's clear. And that's a major thing that people lost the ability to observe. One of the things we do is tell you, hey, you need to improve your ability to observe, and we show you how to do that. Most people drive for 45 minutes, don't remember a thing they saw, meaning they weren't actually observing. Most people walk into a room. I'll do this test often with someone. They walk in the room, or they know their their office well or whatever, and I'll just say to them, "What's behind you? Describe to me what is behind you." And you know your office well. Yes, yes, I do. Good. What's behind you? They cannot tell you 99% of what's in the room. It's unbelievable. You should try it. And it just shows you people don't observe. So you need to improve your ability to observe so that you can look at and be able to confront people and see them. And when I say confront, I mean you need to be able to be there comfortably in front
Yeah.
of anyone and see what's going on. And then you can make an assumption and know that it's an assumption of whether or not they are toxic or not.
And in terms of to jump a wee bit, maybe forward and then we'll come backwards again. If it comes to pass that you genuinely have a toxic person in your
Yeah.
life, you've there's been a test, there's been some level of qualification that yes, indeed this person is toxic. Can that person, I'm going to use terrible terminology, I'm sure, but can that person be cured of the toxicity? Can that person say, now is the time, they are observant, they are, paying attention now, they are able to notice it after a certain intervention of sorts, and then they can take the steps? Or is that 2+% of people, they're just kind of doomed to live where they live for the remainder of their days?
Doomed, I like that. You can definitely help them, 100%. And anybody can be helped. It does take a little bit more work and a very, very, very good control on the part of the person that's helping, because you will naturally, while dealing with somebody toxic, fall into the quote unquote traps that get laid as you're trying to help the wounded animal. It starts to bite, and then you also scream, and it becomes a mess. But if you know what you're doing, you can help the wounded animal, quote unquote. Not that they're wounded animals, but you need to know what you're doing to help them. And so I know we're going a little bit around, but with a toxic person, you really have two options. Your first option is to handle them, and it's really the best option to help them. And my theme here for this whole episode is really that you are way more powerful than you think. You just aren't aware of your abilities, and so toxic people can affect you, and so you don't know how to handle toxic people, and so sometimes you'll run away rather than deal with things. But I'm saying you can be very powerful, and if you are, you'll be able to handle a toxic person. If it's an extreme, then your second option is to disconnect. That is. But it
Yeah.
should be relatively rare. And if it's somebody that you already have a close connection to, if it's a friend, a friend is not a light allegiance. A friend is something that you're there for through thick and thin. If it's a friend, friendship is forever. It's not a temporary thing. I know a lot of people are shocked when I say that, and it's another big topic about friendship, but friendship is not a temporary thing. So if it's a toxic person, help your friend. That's when they need you. So, yeah.
That's deep. That's I imagine some people listening or watching would kind of have a little bit of a jolt there, saying, "Wait a second, I've got lots of friends that are in my past that will never be part of my present or my future, and I'm just going to happily move forward without them." And different people have obviously different foundational understandings or beliefs around friendship in general. I wonder if there's an angle of you know if I'm toxic and I don't notice it and I'm completely unaware of my impact and influence on other people because of the way that things are transpiring in life, and everyone that I care about knows this, and not one of them takes the option or opportunity or time or effort to say, Gary, like you have to sit down, you have to listen, and you have to understand what it is I'm saying, because this is going to help save you and your relationships and your enjoyment of life. If I thought someone was harboring that, someone was keeping that in because they didn't want to rock the boat, or they weren't as invested in me as I would hope to be in them, or they just didn't think it was going to work, or they didn't know how to do it, or whatever, that would destroy my soul if I was keeping that in. So then, in terms of testing the bounds of friendship, do I genuinely care about this person enough to invest whatever it takes? Some of it I won't even know for right now, to help them see and heal, if I could use that word, or progress or get better or grow from that place, and giving yourself that opportunity that when you're thinking of disconnecting and saying, I'm just going to walk away, how is that truly helping? Now, if you're disconnecting after a series of opportunities where you've tried your very best and it just hasn't worked and you can't invest any more time because you have to live your own life, that's one part of it. But if you're at the first sign of some toxic behavior or toxic experiences, that you say, that's enough, I'm out, then maybe they weren't a friend anyway in the first place. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it leads me to 3 points. The first point is that I know that what I say is different to what most people hear. I know. I post videos, people can go look on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I see the comments because I'll put out a concept that nobody says. Like a friendship is not a temporary thing. No matter what, you remain a friend. And I see the comment, no, people get really, oh, how could you say that? And you're delusional. And what I've had friends. I know it's different, but it works. It brings better results, and I can show you endless success stories of people that were like, oh, listen, I thought you were crazy at the beginning, but I took your advice and a miracle happened. So first of all, I know it's weird and I know it's different. I'm not saying what every other guest says. Most people would say, nah, toxic people, you just walk away, cut your losses, don't waste your time, don't waste your energy. I know what I'm saying is different. That's also this is always the assumption that you're actively, again, developing and restoring your abilities, which you never really lost, by the way. Okay, so that's on the one hand. The second thing I wanted to say is that, again, a friendship is really a whole other episode, but it's not something that you give lightly. I don't mean a person that I know for 2 months is like my friend. When I say to somebody, you're my friend, it's a commitment. And you don't need a friend when times are tough. Times are good. Times are
Yeah.
good. Yes, you love you having your friends, but that's not when you need a friend. When you need a friend is when times are tough. That's when you expect your friends to really show up. That's showtime. Let's see your true colors, friend, when I'm in the dumps or I'm messed up.
Yeah.
That's when I want to see your true colors. Because if you walk away when I'm being an idiot, toxic person, then you're not really my friend then. And good that I know about it now. But I'm not going to do the same to somebody like that. If I've committed myself to a friend and now I start seeing, whoa, they have some bad qualities. Well, don't we all? What am I, a saint that I don't have bad qualities either? And now I'm judging them for their bad qualities that now get revealed to me. And now that I know them for 2 years, I see some bad qualities or whatever. But I've already committed my friendship. But now I'm not for you anymore. You're no longer my friend. No, friendship is a commitment that you must know a lot about. There's a whole data around friendship, but I'm an extremely loyal friend, and that's what it takes. And the third thing, and I don't know if I should go into the third thing. I don't want to, if you have something that you want to respond yet.
I'm good. No, please go ahead. I'm dying to hear the third thing.
Okay. The third thing is this: how this is a concept that is important to know for anyone. How do you fix machines? If a machine is broken, what do? You find what's wrong with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say my remote is not working. I need to find what's wrong with it. The batteries. Okay, that's what's wrong with it. Or this screen. The thing's broken. Okay, I find what's wrong with it, and by pointing out what's wrong with it, it will fix it. That's how you handle a machine. So what do you do with people? And I'm talking most people, 99.9999999% of people, when they want to fix people, they also find what's wrong with them. That's what we do. We highlight, hey, I need to sit down with Gary and tell you all the things that are wrong with you. Because my intention is good. It's to fix you. Much like I fix a machine, I need to find and make you aware of all the wrong in you. And that's the biggest pitfall in relationships and in handling people. Machines, true, you fix by finding what's wrong with them. People, you fix by finding what's right with them.
Ah,
And if you know that, you will do what you haven't been doing, which is, how about you start pointing out what's right with that friend? Which you never do. All you've done is tease them for whatever months and talked behind their back and da-da-da. But never once did you say, you know what, Gal, out of all if let's say somebody's telling me, Gal, out of all there's many different things that we've done and hung out with, but I can tell you this, you're always caring. And I really appreciate that about you. Fine, even the guy's toxic. Yes, I'm talking about, let's say I'm a toxic guy, and somebody were to come to me and say, you know what? He's not going to come and tell me, Gal, you're toxic. He's going to come and tell me, of all the things, and you have to find something real. You always care. And it's true, the guy always cares. And you point out what's right with him. And the next time you see them, again, you find something else that you can find that's right with them. And you find something else that's right with them. And you find something else that's right with them. And when you found, and I'm not kidding, 1,000 things right with them, then maybe you can introduce one little area that's wrong with them. And if you don't, and you point out what's wrong with them before you've actually built up what's right with them, genuine stuff, not fake.
yeah.
You just point out what's wrong with them, it'll destroy the friendship. Even if
Yeah.
they don't act like it, even if they put on a strong front. Thank you for telling me. I appreciate you telling me about that quality. No, the friendship's gone. You've destroyed it. Or not gone, but it'll take a lot to rebuild. It will really hurt the relationship to point out what's wrong with the person. It won't fix him. It will hurt him.
Yeah, it's so nuanced and so powerful. Everything that you said there. I was chatting with a group this morning about leadership and kind leadership in terms of what does kindness mean? It could be a gesture, it could be a compliment, it could be a promotion, it could be something, or it could be telling someone a hard truth. It could be saying, I'm not sure if anyone's made you aware of this, but your behavior or your attire or your attitude or whatever it is, it doesn't jive with the culture that we're trying to build here. But the reason I tell you that is that one of the I think one of the more global things that if you say to someone, in terms of feedback, how do you want me to provide you feedback? The almost universal answer is, oh, please give it to me straight. Give it to me straight and tell me as quickly as you possibly can. And you say, okay, so if you're true to your word, then something happens and I say, Gal, I committed to giving you some feedback. Your behavior in that meeting there was off. I don't know what happened. Your language was inappropriate. You disrespected the people as they were entering the room, and you didn't get any better as the meeting went on. Do you want to talk about what that is? And then you say, whoa, wait a second. Would you? I just sat down. Like, give me a break here.
Yeah.
So people's requests of feedback are, it's almost like a vanilla answer because they're not really giving you the benefits of their introspection to say, this is actually how I would like feedback to come. I would prefer you put it in writing first. I would prefer you threw a softball or an underarm ball to me first, and then we could maybe ease into it. So I love everything about what you were saying, because the feedback then would be balanced. It wouldn't be you made a complete mess of that meeting. There would be, the meeting didn't go as well as we hoped. Here's what was good about it, and here's what we could probably improve on next. What do you think? And then you're having a conversation, you're having a dialogue that there's actually genuinely input from both parties there. So that ability to I'm going to say force yourself, but it's almost like to perfect a habit of looking at the good before you look at the not so good or the less good, that you could say is some, like, there's almost nothing that can go bad with that. And it's not being completely unconscious to some of the bad or destructive behavior. That's not what you're doing. What you're trying to do is to build a confidence with that person. I see you. I see you. Your behavior is not you. It's part of you, but not you.
Not you. It's not you. You're right. Exactly. And look, I will say that leadership and friendship is different things a little bit. Yes, sometimes
Yeah.
to be a leader, you're pulling people to a specific result that's very clearly defined, and you're leading. It's a little bit different than a friendship. It's totally different technologies almost of how do you deal with these circumstances of interpersonal relationships. Like a marriage is different to a leadership role, is different to a friendship role. Is each has its own things, yes. But this
Yeah.
overarching thing of, do you want to improve the person? Start finding what's right with them. You've never done it before. I don't, any listener, I nobody's heard what I just said before, ever. Nobody says that. You fix people by finding what's right with them. Machines you fix by finding what's wrong with them. And most people fix people like they're a machine, and they're not. So they find what's wrong with them all the time. All the time. People are very good at finding what's wrong with others. This concept of, if you want to fix a person, find what's right with them, is so counterintuitive, but it's beyond powerful.
Yeah.
And yes, it can be applied to leadership, marriage, friendships, etc. Yes, it can. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah. And I recall doing some reading. I'm sure it must have been reading in the very early stages of being a parent myself to Leo, and to try and reinforce all the positives of the behavior before. I can't remember the ratio. They said it was something like 5 or 6 or 7 positive affirmations before you say, and if you could pick up your stuff from the floor, or put your stuff in the laundry basket, or make your bed, or whatever it is, depending on what stage that you're at. And it's so interesting because I was actually chatting with my son last night. He had a rugby game, and the game was quite nuanced. There was lots of talking points in the game, let's just say. And on the way home, I was saying, like, what did you think? How did you feel about that? And one of the questions I asked him was, one of the kind of, and this might actually come from me in terms of observed behaviour, is that I get quite vocal when I'm supporting my team, Glasgow Rangers, from back home in Scotland, and sometimes it's not very complimentary. So if there's a bad pass or a poor passage of play or just a general poor performance, it's kind of frustrating because I'm saying, listen, I'm putting everything into holding up my end of the bargain as a supporter, and it kind of doesn't feel like you're doing the same. But that's me 4,000 miles away shouting at a TV. So if I'm in person, and I would be at the ground back home in Glasgow, and I would be still be shouting, but I'm still remote. I'm still far enough away. If I'm sitting 3 feet away, 6 feet away from that person, am I going to use the same type and style of language, the same type and style of aggression, the same type and style of just pompous attitude? Absolutely not. So what I said to Leo last night was, give me one example that you've complained someone into better performance, because he was kind of having a bit of a moment about other people in the team not doing their job. I said this is a perfect example of what teamwork can be, and how you need to be able to manage the different nuances of people and their behaviours and their performance levels and such as you go forward. But tell me one example where you complain to someone, essentially insulting them in the moment, because it doesn't come out completely articulate in the moment, and they instantly got better. And he was actually driving, and he kind of goes quiet, and then he says, "Never." I says, "No, come on, there must be one time. There must be one time that it's happened." He says, "No." What do you think? And it's a bit of a deep moment that hopefully he has with him. It doesn't help with the temper tantrums in the moment, but maybe the temper tantrum goes from being that size to that size, and it's just a snap. I'm sorry, gal. You know, I love you, bro. Let's just we'll be better next time and move forward. But it was under the context of a sporting conversation, but genuinely a life lesson. What are you going to react to? Are you going to react to vinegar or honey, to use the term?
Give you another headline that you can, Gal Ezra says, okay, this is one of those, although this is stuff that my dad taught me, right? And it's so true. And some of the things that we teach our students are these things, and I know that and you, the listeners, are gonna go, what the heck, this guy again? But we say that there is no such thing as constructive criticism.
Right.
No such thing. Criticism only destroys. It's never constructive, ever. Now, when you are a performer, let's say that I'm an artist and I get off the stage, and I'm your son, and I come up to you and I go, Dad, Dad, how did I do? I just did a talent show. What I'm really saying is, Dad, 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 tell me how good I was.
Yeah.
If you say, your pitch was a bit off, because it's constructive criticism, it will destroy. If you say this was, and you, again, has to be genuine, this was the things that were great, only it will build. And then people inevitably go, oh, so what, you never give criticism ever? If you're learning, it's different. If I'm learning, I'm your student, it's different, okay? Because I'm a student and not your son getting off stage. If I'm your student, I come to you and I say, so tell me, how did I do? And you say, well, here are the points that you need to improve. I go in with the agreement that you're going to give me feedback. But by the way, even then, your criticism can be a make or break. Some teachers beat out the passion for the subject out of their students because of all the criticism. Some teachers don't criticize, they just say, here's what's amazing, and the person grows. Some teachers give criticism, but very gently. It has to be done right, because criticism, even when it's with the purpose of being constructive, is extremely flammable. You need to be careful. But if it's not in a learning environment, or a leadership or production time or working, and I'm leading a team, I need to tell you, hey, you're doing this wrong. If it's just a friends or child to parent or constructive criticism, there's just no place for it. It only destroys.
I literally love that. I do. I can't imagine that will have the same impact as your friendship comment earlier in terms of other people's opinion. I would hope that the majority of people listening or watching would in some way resonate with that. I could see there being a if I could use the word constructive argument to say, well, how am I supposed to help the person get better? You caveated that there by saying in certain roles or performance roles or game time, then there may be have to be a different type and style of conversation.
Yeah,
I was
or point
teaching,
out what's right with them. Point out what's right with them for a while. You haven't tried that yet. Point
yeah,
out what's right with them for just give it a go, give it a shot. You've been very good for a long time at pointing out what's wrong with them. You've been good at that for a long, long, long time.
yeah.
Try for a little bit to find what's right with them. Just try it and see what happens.
Definitely. And I was teaching a class recently, and one of the things that I had said to the class, actually, I'll tell you two of the things. You mentioned in a learning environment that there would be a different, you're agreeing to this relationship where
Mhm.
this person is ahead of you in some way and is giving you information and will help you grow to a point where you want to get to, hopefully. But I had said to them, like, name one thing. It's almost back to the conversation with Leo again. Name one thing that you were brilliant at the very first time you tried it. One thing.
Okay.
And you can see the odd student kind of going, and I said, there's nothing. There's nothing yet. We stop ourselves from trying something for fear of being rubbish at
Yeah.
it in the beginning, and think how many dreams have been quashed by I don't want to be a beginner. Instead of embracing the beginner mentality and saying it can't get any worse than
Yeah.
this right now, I will be better for this experience going forward. The second thing that I say, hopefully that will resonate, and it absolutely compounds what I think you're saying there, Gal, is let's use a talk as an example. It could be a meeting, it could be a conversation, it could be a presentation, it could be anything, but you're doing a talk. There's the talk that you plan, there's the talk that you give, and there's the talk that you should have given. And
Mm.
if you go into every single interaction like that, not to say I'm going to be under par, I'm going to be subpar, I'm not going to be very, very good in this particular moment, just that expansive thinking, opportunity to say there is always going to be room for improvement because I don't know now what I will know after I have given that talk, meeting, coaching session, radio interview, podcast interview, things like that. Then you can start to go in, and then the questions and the conversations afterwards are slightly different, where you would say, how did I do? And the person can say, I thought you did really exceptionally well then. This part was amazing. I didn't even know you were going to do that. That hit home really, really well. And the natural second question can be, if you offer it out, to say, what's one thing that now that we know what we know, that you think I could have done differently? And it could be an internal conversation, of course. You might not have the luxury of asking someone else, but
Yeah.
what's that one thing? And you're open to it already. It's not an arms folded moment where someone says, can I provide you with some feedback? And you're kind of like, uh-huh, okay. It's a genuine, I know there is one thing. Have you seen it? Are you willing to share? And if not, have a think about it. And maybe once you've reflected, I would love to hear it because we're trying to get better at fostering that culture of micro feedback. That's dynamite. That's gold dust.
100%. And I love what you said about being okay to be a beginner and that you sometimes do things badly. And I also want to add to that to say that, a lot of times you're not anymore a beginner, but you get stuck, you plateau. It comes in the form of writers get writer's block, or
Mm.
an artist comes with something that they get stuck, their creativity stops, or even you go to the gym, you don't know what to do. The best cure for writer's block or for these different versions of it is to, on purpose, go and write bad. Go write bad. Start writing bad, but bad, like really bad. Go write terrible. Just start to write as horribly, everything's wrong, mistakes, stupid storyline on purpose. Write bad and more bad and write bad, and all of a sudden you'll see the writer's block is over.
Yeah. And how is that? Is it just that opportunity to flush out some of the blockage that's there? What's the science behind that?
So you can be at any given time at cause or effect. Okay, cause means I'm the one making something happen. I'm the one putting it there. I'm the driving force. Effect means it happens to me and I'm on the receiving end. I'm basically the victim of the circumstance. I'm stuck in a way that I don't know how to cause anymore.
Hmm.
Very relevant, by the way, to the toxic people conversation, because what a toxic person does is take you from I'm cause, I know what I am, who I am, what I want to do, and the toxic person puts you at effect. They make you go, "Oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe maybe I'm not." They put you in this like a maybe. They put you out of being cause. Um, so when you are in a writer's block, you're at effect. I'm stuck. I don't know how. I can't write. I'm trying. I'm stuck. I'm a total effect. So when you say, you know what, I'm gonna write bad. What you do is you get back to cause because you at least cause in a direction. You start causing, and I'm gonna do it badly, and I'm gonna write on purpose bad, and I'm gonna mess up, and I'm gonna do stupid stuff, and it's fine. I want to. I want to. I'm doing. You go back to cause. It takes you out of effect, and all of a sudden, yes, you're back to being cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. This conversation is absolutely zipped by. So, as you know, this is the Best You interview series where I try and focus on what people do to give people the opportunity to be the best version of themselves. What's one thing that Gaz, that's me. What's one thing that Gal
Yeah. Yeah.
employs on a regular basis to give you the best opportunity to be yourself?
I validate my improvements. So success is the sum of all validated improvements. The sum is adding it up, right? It's the sum of all the times I validate myself. Well done, pat myself on the back. All the times I validate my improvements. So I have become an expert, quote unquote, at validating my improvements, whereas before I was an expert at finding everything wrong with myself. And
Right.
everybody's very good at that. We look in the mirror and we find everything that's wrong in the mirror. And we look at our day and we say everything that was wrong with the day. And we get off a sales call and we say everything that was stupid that I did with this on the sales call. And I'm very good at finding what's wrong with myself. But what I do, and it's just now beyond natural. I've just like it's natural for most people to find what's wrong with them. It's now natural for me through practicing, and it's something everyone should practice. Find what's right with yourself. Success is the sum of all validated improvements. So start to validate your improvements, and you'll see that you are actually perfect. And anything that's not perfect is not you.
Incredible. Incredible. I love it. Gal, before I let you go, where can people find out more about you?
So if you want to just connect to me and DM me, and I'll give you, the other 12 characteristics and so forth of the toxic people and so on, just write to me, DM me on all the social media platforms, Gal A Ezra, Galaezra, Gal A Ezra. But if you want to kind of get some of the materials we do, we have a ton of free courses. Like you go to our homepage, or you'll see a free tab button, and those courses are packed with materials specific to your problems. If you have problems with your children, we have free programs for that. If they're doing too much screen time, we have free programs for that. If you have sales problems, we have free programs. Marketing problems, health problems, business problems, money problems, uh, you name it. And you just go to gprosperity.com. G stands for guaranteed. Everything we do is guaranteed. So gprosperity.com, and you'll see a bunch of free resources to start.
Fabulous. Incredible. That's great to be able to give all your knowledge out, not all your knowledge, but to give some of your knowledge out for free and
Yeah,
hopefully pique some interest in their ongoing development.
yeah.
Gal, this has been an incredible conversation. I literally could have kept going for about
We
another two
do.
and a half hours there.
I feel like we could talk for like 4 hours around a bonfire, no problem.
Agreed, agreed, absolutely
Thank you.
agreed. It's been a great time. Thank you very, very much for coming on the
Thank you.
show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.